Welcome to Lesson 3, Chapter 7, Generic Protocols. Nice and easy, in this lesson you've learned multiple ways to override predefined associate type. Welcome to Lawrence Certificate Bound. Today let's talk about generic protocol, specifically talk about how to override protocol associate type. We talked about it in the last lesson. It's something like this. We learned how to override family type even though it was predefined with int. Well, I thought, in the last lesson wasn't too clear about this, so I decided to do more research and come back and then just wanted to present to you guys so you guys know pretty much know a lot about Swift more than anyone else when it comes to associate type. Okay? So now there are a couple ways we've already done it in the past. So let's design a struct that confirms that family protocol. Okay. So you've defined the family type as int in this case, right? Family type has become int. So, and then when you make if you want to make an object, number family type is now int. Simple as that. Not too crazy. But you can also override the associate type directly like this. And you can do family member does not confirm because you don't have the family members Bob and Bobby. So now what happens is now family type is what becomes int, but that will be indirectly, right? Because now the family type is inferred based on the value, but in fact you can actually do type L. For some reason, family type is not showing up, right? But I play around with it. I've discovered it actually does work. It actually does work. Actually does work. Oops. Yeah, it does work. Family type. It does just. I think it's a bug. It's one of those bugs, but it does work. Okay. Family type is string value. Now family type becomes string. Can only work with string. Okay. It does work. I don't know. Just Swift needs to fix this up. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, good now. But there's a little problem with this. We can get a little more specific. Oh, it can get a little more complex. What if you're working with generic struct? All right. If you think about it, this is just random struct. All right. With a defined t. Okay. Defined int. This is not a generic struct. But what if you want to work with generic struct? So for example, now what if you have something like this? Call it leaf family. Okay. This is generic struct. And also family confirms the family protocol. And as you know, family protocol should have what? Should have a protocol variable called family members, and the type is not defined yet. Okay? Well, you don't really need to have this. It doesn't really matter. Okay? It doesn't really matter. This case, let's not have it. Okay? That's not part of it. So now you have a family. Okay, it's not override it. So it's more like how to work with how to apply generic protocol with generics. Yeah, generic struct in this case. Well, here's the thing. So now let's try it out. So as you can tell, the family type, which should be the type of family members, should be what is family type. Okay, so now the family type has become T in this case. Okay, now it has been T, but T is not defined. So there's like a two placeholder type. One is family type as well as T. They are kind of working together. But now let's take a look at what's happening when you create an object. So when you create an object like this, let family call the family type, family members. So now what's happening is I'm gonna walk you through it now. So now the T becomes what? T becomes string value based on the value you're working with, right? We learned about that type is defined in val, right? Chapter 1, lesson 1, right? It always goes back to the fundamental. If you don't understand the fundamental, everything else becomes much more easier. Now T becomes string now. But now here comes the magic. Oops. Family type now becomes string based on T. So there are a two-step process right now. So T becomes string value, and then family type now becomes string based on the T value. So now, for example, now if you work with T becomes int value, now later family type becomes int value. Okay, so there are two-step process going on at this time. Yeah, just wanted to make sure you guys are. So probably you're working with someone else's code, looking through some open source project. If they really know about Swift, they will probably use generic protocol along with what do you call this? Generic struct. Yeah, but you now understand what's happening. Well, this can get a little complex, but again, go back to the very fundamental. Chapter 1, Lesson 1. Understand the type has to be defined no matter where you go. And that is, if you understand the role, okay, if you're a little confused about something when it comes to protocol or generics, I recommend you to just simply define the type first, okay? No matter what. When it comes to Clojure, it doesn't matter. Just define a type and then start getting remove those type as necessary and see if that works. Okay, see if the Swift is able to smart enough to recognize it and see where Swift is able to find a pattern. And if you can do that, well, that's it. That's what you are good with Clojure. Now you're good with protocol. You're good with functions. That's it, man. Nah, man, that's it. All right, guys. See you guys in the next lesson. But it seems like protocol is amazing stuff you're working with. But I have to tell you one thing though. Protocol is not actually the ultimate way to code. There is a little problem when you're working protocol. In the next lesson, we'll talk about it. You'll figure out. We're not gonna figure out, but we're gonna see the problem. And in the very last lesson, we're gonna figure out how to solve that problem. Okay. So see you guys in the next lesson. Keep learning. And you're doing really well. And this stuff, associate type, people have a lot of problem with, but you know what to do. Define the type, see what's up, and if there's a problem, define the type. If there's no problem, move on. Okay. See you guys, and hope you guys keep learning. I believe in you guys. You've learned how to override predefined associate type in the protocol. Again, it's ironic that you define the type of associate type because it goes against the definition of generic code base. So I recommend not to predefine the associate type. In the next lesson, you'll discover protocol-oriented programming is not the ultimate savior for every single time. Let's learn more about that. See you in the next lesson.